What is up everybody, I am LeakyTapsMan and this is another wishlist video, and this week we're going to go for LA Noire 2. So this was a new IP this gen, only came out last year and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, although it was kind of a Marmite game. You either loved it or you hated it, and I was of the former inclination. That being said, there is a lot of things that they can improve on, so this is a comprehensive list. I feel this rectifies all of the major mistakes that I feel that LA Noire made. Not to detract anything from the game, because it was very good. There's also a lot of suggestions as well in addition to those mistakes, so don't think that I'm just doing one big slagging off session, because I'm not. Okay, since there is no real precedence for LA Noire as a series, I've no idea whether they will kind of keep it in LA or keep the timeline the same and move city or change the timeline. There really is obviously nothing to go off. That said, I think a change in timeline would work well. I think either going back to the 30s or maybe onto the 70s or 80s, basically you can really fulfill a lot of potential with this series. They can take any kind of direction and I would be behind them, because the whole noir theme was excellent, and I'm sure that they could push any other timeline and really make it believable. And if they did change location, I think Chicago would be a good city to do. New York would, while I think New York would also kind of be cool, it's been done to death, so I'd say stay clear of New York. Ideally, keep it in LA, that's what I'd rather have, but I'm open to suggestions on that one. As for the main character, okay, spoiler alert at this point, so if you haven't finished LA Noire, 1, why not, and 2, just mute the volume for about the next 30 seconds. Okay, so since Cole Phelps was dead at the end of the game and we kind of played as Jack Kelso for the last chapter or so, I think the whole insight into the private investigator was really a neat touch, and I think that a whole game based around that would work really well. It allows for a lot more of an open-ended approach in terms of case solving. I think the ability to maybe be a bit more corrupt and bribe policemen to get on into a crime scene, take bribes from suspects, be able to take or plant evidence, just really not be so goody two-shoes as we were in the last game. I'd like to have a bit more freedom in my options. One major aspect I think the original game faltered on was the fact that money had no purpose. So you literally just ran up the cost of missions if you kind of destroyed property and killed people, but that's the only time that we ever saw money, and I think that we should be able to earn money for each mission, let us purchase suits and upgrades for our guns and just vehicles and properties for manual saving, just regular bog standard stuff that just keeps the game a bit more interesting. If collectibles do make a return, which in all likelihood they will, then just give them a purpose as well. So make us unlock stuff every 5 or so, or maybe every 10. So give us some new suits that give us unique abilities or cash bonuses. Just really incentivize it more than just the fact that there's an achievement at the end of it. One super duper big aspect that they need to change is the linearity within the missions. So don't make us always shoot a guy that's running away. This was one thing that really bugged me in the first LA Noire. The death tally of Cole Phelps was absolutely ridiculous. The guy was killing someone pretty much every mission, so let us clip someone in the legs and obviously hunt them down and take them in for questioning, instead of just always bang bang you're dead. So multiple options basically. I'm saying you still should be able to kill them, but it should affect your case if you choose to do that, by say the fact that you can't take this guy in for questioning and you obviously have less leads. And keeping in mind with the whole less linearity within missions, allow us to convict the wrong person a lot more often. I think there was like one mission maybe where you could convict the wrong person, and even then you were kind of told straight away that that was wrong. I'd like more freedom in this regard, and let us make mistakes, and if we make those mistakes then the killer should be able to basically be free to murder more people, and if that happens we should get a bollocking. I'd just say don't have it so black and white all the time, no pun intended with the whole noir thing. I also think a hardcore mode, or a bit more of a bare bones mode if you will, should be included, so don't make clues ring as we walk past them, and less hand holding when we're inspecting an actual clue. They kind of spelt it out for you a lot of the times. I just think a mode where all of these things are kind of eliminated and you're really feeling like you're doing it yourself, kind of like what you've got in point-and-click adventure games. I appreciate the fact that LA Noire did a lot to help new players, and I'm not saying take that stuff out by any means, just give a separate option for people that kind of want to feel a much greater sense of accomplishment. And with the more hardcore concepts in mind, I think there needs to be real consequences for mistakes. I kind of mentioned this before, where if we let the killer loose, they'll obviously be at large still, but I think maybe if you're reckless in terms of property damage and stuff like that, then the police should be more apprehensive to kind of give you backup. That is, if they go down the whole cop route as opposed to private investigator, like I mentioned. If you're an investigator, maybe then if you kind of be totally reckless and show complete disregard for suspects and all that stuff, then maybe have some of your leads cut off if you kind of ruffle the wrong feathers, and it just makes missions a bit harder. Just really push the fact that a lot of outcomes can come from one decision. It gives the game so much more replayability, and that's one thing that LA Noire severely lacked. With replayability and just variety in mind, I think that some minigames should be included. Nothing too drastic or out of context for LA Noire, just stuff like poker, gambling on horse races or boxing matches, and also I think random events like we've seen in Red Dead Redemption, where they kind of pop up on the map. So minor crimes, say like a mugging or drink driving or speeding or something like that, you could maybe choose to act on it and just get money and get a better standing overall in terms of public perception. Just relatively minor things like that that give you a change of pace when you don't feel like approaching the main story. And finally, a pretty big one and possibly a controversial one, I think a co-op mode would work incredibly well. Whether or not they keep it separate from the main story, I'm not too bothered. Obviously a separate co-op campaign would probably be everyone's preference so it doesn't mess up the main game, but whether or not they have the resources for that and the time, because obviously Team Bondi were kind of pressured a hell of a lot in the first game and now they don't exist, so maybe Rockstar can do a better job of that. But yeah, co-op I thought was always kind of destined for this game. You have partners on every mission, each aspect would work well. You could do finding clues together, interrogating suspects together. I think that would be really fun. So you could play the whole good cop, bad cop. And this is one game where I think Kinect would actually work quite well as well. If Kinect really can read your facial features like they say it can, then let the suspect cotton on that you are basically just bluffing. And also with the voice recognition, you should be able to say, "You're lying, bitch." Maybe not the bitch, but you should be able to accuse through Kinect. That's basically one game where they would sell Kinect to me because I don't have it, and that would be awesome. Obviously it's an extra, not a necessity. So yep, that is pretty much everything that I would like in a sequel to LA Noire, or a potential spin-off. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys want. You always come up with a great amount of suggestions and features and stuff that I never even consider. So whack all your ideas and suggestions in the comments below. Please subscribe if you like any of this, and peace out.